Wow, I'm a little bit shocked. I'll be completely honest, I was really bracing for a come down after how much I enjoyed episode 1 of this season of My Dress Up Darling. I was afraid that the animation style was going to be toned down. We would get more uncomfortable scenes, and that just in general the magic would have trickled away a bit. I am thrilled to report that not only did I really enjoy episode 2, I think I liked it more than the first one. All of the other segments here I will have written after sitting with the episode for a bit, but this part I wanted to get down right after I finished it. The pacing is still elevated from season 1, but not quite at the breakneck pace that it was in the premiere of season 2. Scenes actually have time to breathe, and as a result, the couple of quiet ones we got between Gojo and Marin really land. All of the elements season 1 laid out, the romance, the cosplay, the internal worlds of our characters, they are now all in sync with one another, laced together like threads on one of the dresses in the show. On top of this, the show is now bringing in new parts of the world, new characters, and weaving them in seamlessly. The show has structure, rhythm, and most importantly, a really likable pair that I want to see grow and change. What else did this second episode get right? And how could it get even better going forward? Let's talk about it. Welcome back to Frame by Frame, the series where every week I make a video on each episode of these 3 shows, covering one big idea along with some smaller segments. I hope you'll subscribe to follow along for the rest of the season. I'd love to have you aboard. Let's start with a brief recap of the plot of episode 2 of My Dress Up Darling's second season. Picking up from the end of the last episode, Marin's friends want to know if the two are dating. Gojo rushes in to say no, as he doesn't believe that Marin would ever want to date him. She takes this as him saying he doesn't want to date her. After a brief run-in with Marin's hairstylist, she kisses the bunny suit he's in. Of course, this also gets lost in translation. Anyway, Marin gets sick and Gojo gets anxious about her not returning his message asking if she's okay. So he heads over and helps nurse her back to health. Later, the two are at a cosplay event at an aquarium where they meet Amane. Amane is a fellow cosplayer who reveals that despite dressing as a female character, is actually a guy. The rest of the episode revolves around our 2 main characters asking about Amane's cosplay. Our next segment is The Shot, the one scene that really caught my eye. This one was easy for me this week. If you remember from last episode, I highlighted the scene on the train where Marin is heading to Gojo's place. That whole scene was notable to me for all of these little fidgets and movements that made Marin really come to life in her eager anticipation. Today's scene is the opposite of that. When Gojo has finished feeding Marin and goes to clean up, she grabs his sweater to stop him. The background music, normally quite loud in this show, completely drops out. We get a close-up of each of their faces as she thanks him. And then we get a series of shots around the apartment, of seemingly pointless objects. As we do, Marin asks Gojo if he will stay, and then says his name just because she wants to. What I love about this scene is how it chooses to handle a quiet moment with a lot of things left unsaid. The typical approach might be to focus a lot on close-ups of the two, and really work on small details that convey a lot of complicated emotions. This approach says no, and instead uses the surroundings to communicate a simpler message. By showing the empty apartment and taking out all of the other sounds than the two of them talking, it drives home the fact that the two of them are alone together. It creates an intimate moment for the two of them that even we are not privy to, and I think that makes it feel much more genuine. It feels like a scene we're listening in on, not pausing and playing as we please. I love ending with the final shot of Marin holding on to Gojo. It's a simple, yet effective image, our last peek into this otherwise private scene. Now on to the main idea for this episode. In the intro, I talked generally about how much I enjoyed it, but here I want to touch on a specific reason why. Season 1 of this show had some side characters, notably the Inui sisters, but so far in this season, I have felt like the dynamic with the secondary characters has been working way better, and I think I've figured out why. I think the reason that I have been appreciating the side characters more this season is that Marin and Gojo have a much more defined and consistent relationship. Let me explain. In season 1, it felt like anytime Gojo was around Marin, he was a borderline neurotic mess. Now, in this season that definitely still can be the case, but there's a much calmer baseline at play here. Look no further than the two of them at the cosplay event. When they offer to help Amane out, they seem like they're in their element, a competent team. As a part of this pair, Marin is the boisterous and upbeat one, and Gojo is hesitant and a bit awkward. Just having these broad roles and allowing them to play off of each other has elevated almost every part of the show for me, but nowhere more than with those side characters. The scene with Marin and her hairdresser was really funny, and it worked because of how it played both of our main characters off of these two new people. The same goes with Amane, or Marin's high school friends, or Suzuka even. Now that Marin and Gojo have a baseline of how they act around each other, and even when they're alone, there's a ton of extra space to build up these other people and let them bounce off of the main two. That was my primary issue with the Inui sister plotline in Season 1. It felt like Marin and Gojo interacted with the sisters separately, even when they shared scenes together. Now that the bridge between the two of them has been fleshed out, there's all these new ways to play any given scenario. I think overall, this is to the massive benefit of the show, and has me even more excited to see where it goes next. This is a great segue to our last segment, my one big question moving forward. For this week's episode, my question has to be, how is the relationship building for Marin and Gojo going to be paced moving forward? This episode had a really nice sense of momentum to it. Gojo tries to step in for Marin with the hairdresser, and she tries to kiss him, but they both bungle it a bit. Then, with her getting sick, it felt like there was another bit of bonding. I'm curious to see if they keep up this consistent focus on their relationship, or if we're due for a week or two off before revisiting it. I hope it's the former, but after such a strong week, I trust whatever direction it goes. And that's it. That's the second episode of Week 2 of Frame by Frame. Stay tuned for the next episode of Rascal Does Not Dream of Santa Claus. I'll be watching it right after I post this. If you missed any past episodes, I have playlists for all 3 series on my channel. As always, liking and subscribing helps a lot and will keep you in the loop. I'm SlamAnime, and have a great rest of your day.